In today's session, what we'll be looking at is a quick review of what happened last night, where the US CPI was released at 2.5%. We traded that together in the members live stream. So if you're not already on a members live stream, make sure you jump onto that as well. And for today, we will be looking at the ECB interest rates decision to be released. Right. So with that, okay. Hey Carlos, how are you doing? Welcome from Portugal. Good to have you with us. Right, and like Carlos, if you're on the session, do drop a message and say hi. Let me know where you're joining us from. I'd love to find out. And for all the regulars, a big welcome back. It feels like it's not very long ago that I was just streaming, almost getting a little bit over streamed, I would say. But but with all that said, if you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat and let me know. And you can help me out massively by remembering to click on that like and subscribe button. Okay. Hey Christina, how you doing? Hey Jumarinas, good morning. And now, with all that, a quick review of what happened last night. The US CPI. So we were streaming this, we were trading together on this US CPI release last night, year on year. It was a 2.9%. It was expected to be a 2.5. It came out as expected at a 2.5. Month to month came out as expected at a 0.2, while the core CPI was released just a little bit higher at a 0.3%. It was a 0.2, expected to stay at a 0.2. As a result of this news that we saw from last night, what we saw on the dollar was that it went from a 101.42 to the upside. It pushed up to 101.81 or 101.80, and then it retraced slightly and it sat there through the night, right? So it wasn't a huge night of trades that we had last night, but I did get into I did a sneaky before the news trade, got into gold, sold it down, made a good quick profit, and then closed out of that. So we had that from last night. I'll show it to you shortly as well. All right, so the dollar pushed up, right? It pushed up on release of the news. It did not break the trend line like we were expecting to head down towards 100.85. The reason being it was released at a 2.5 as expected, which resulted in the CME Fed Watch 2 indicating well, it didn't change at that moment, but because it was released at a 2.5, it kind of reinforced the idea that inflation growth in the US is slowing down appropriately from a 2.9 to a 2.5. No big reason for the Fed Reserve to cut rates massively by a 50 basis points. It looks like an almost certainty at 87% chance that the Fed Reserve would only be doing a 25 basis point rate cut on the 18th of September, right, which is 6 days away next week. And it's actually going to be a big one next week. I'll show it to you shortly. I was just quite excited about that. So what was I going to say? Yeah, so because, and remember a week ago and even earlier this week, I was saying that the 25 basis point rate cut has been signaled since August, right? Since early August or mid August. that the Fed Reserve would cut rates by 25 basis points in September, which resulted in that push. Right, we saw the dollar push all the way to the downside, down to that 100.55 level. And when it came to that point towards the end of August, I was highlighting that hey, it looks like we might be at a priced in scenario where a 25 basis point rate cut from the Fed Reserve on the 18th of September might not be enough to push the dollar down further, right? Because it's so priced in already. We might even see that a 25 basis point rate cut from the Fed could lead to a rebound on the dollar as traders and investors take profit and react to a situation where they have already been expecting for the month. So that's what seems to be happening right now. As that 25 basis points gets reinforced, that 25 basis point rate cut gets reinforced, then we're seeing um, the dollar rebound slightly further to the upside. We're talking more about the dollar index shortly, but that was last night. That was done. That was last night. What we have to look out for tonight, which could change the situation on the um, dollar, is the ECB interest rate decision at 8:15 p.m. GMT plus 8. Okay, ECB main refinancing rate was a 4.25%. I don't know why it says a 3.65. There are three rates from the ECB: the main refinancing rate, the deposit rate, and one more which I can't remember. Which I can't remember right now. Oh, there we go. Interest rates, repo, and no deposit. No, there are three rates. I don't know why it says 3.65 there. It's a bit odd. But it is expected that the ECB could cut rates by, or is expected to cut rates by 25 basis points. If that happens, we'll talk about this as well when we look into the euro. But if that happens, then I'm anticipating, or rather, I was anticipating um, some downside or significant downside on the euro dollar, right? But just today, I'm starting to think that what if I'm starting to plan the scenario that what if the euro dollar doesn't drop, right? What if it comes to a priced in scenario, or a bit less likely, if the ECB doesn't cut rates, then we're going to see the euro maybe push back up again. So it's right at that point where it has that big upside or downside potential. We'll look into that later and how we can plan for that as well. Okay, but remember that tonight's interest rate decision from the ECB is not just a number at 8:15 p.m. That's going to be a number that's going to be released together with the monetary policy statement. And actually, more importantly, it's at 8:45, 30 minutes after the news, where we have the ECB press conference. President Lagarde, um, even if it is a priced in scenario at 4.25 to 4, the 25 basis point rate cut, the volatility is more likely to come during the press conference, especially if there is any forward guidance about further rate cuts, right? About further rate cuts. I know that the line is going to be dependent, data dependent, ready to act when required, and the what was it? Ready to act when required, data dependent, and mandate to achieve the inflation target, right? So they are close, they are getting there, but there is still a little bit more to go. So those lines will still be there, but is she going to add in a little bit more guidance on further rate cuts to come? Okay, so those are the things to look out for with the press conference. That said, I will again be running live during that news event at 8 o'clock tonight. So, those of you who are elite navigators as members on the channel, we will be running live for that event. You can jump onto that. We'll trade live together. Okay, I think we'll keep that running for a bit longer as well because of the press conference tonight. So make sure you stay for that. Hey Drew, no, hey Richard, how you doing? Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Core PPI. I'm not too worried at this point. I think the ECB is going to overshadow that. Interestingly, is just before we started the session, the euro dollar had a bit of a. It looked like a bit of a. At first, I was going to say it was a bit of a front run, as it pushed down from 1.1022 down to 1.10, right? Almost a 20 pip move to the downside on the open, on the euro open, but it looks like it's just down to that support. Sitting at that support is very good news for us right now. Okay, so what else we have for tomorrow? Not a whole bunch. So please watch out. I'm not, please remember, take note, I'm not going to be doing a live stream tomorrow at 3 p.m. GMT plus 8. Just going to take a short break, a bit of an early break to the week, because I don't think there's going to be much happening. But with that, also because next week, you'll see that on Tuesday next week, we have the CPI to be released for the Canadians. We have the US retail sales numbers to be released. That's on Tuesday, so that's going to be a little bit interesting. And then Wednesday, we're going to be pound CPI, very interesting. Then on Thursday, we're going to see the rate cut scenario from the Fed Reserve, 5.5 to 5.25, a 25 basis point rate cut. And then at the same day, on the same day, we have the interest rate decision from the Bank of England, the BOE. And then on Friday, we have the Bank of Japan with the interest rate decision as well. And they could hike rates as well, right? They've been talking about that. They've been talking about hiking rates. They've been talking about decreasing JGB purchases. So it all could happen next week. In previous years, in September, I would have run a traders camp where we'll all sit together in a nice function room, ballroom, and trade through this couple of days, right? It'll be a 3-day session where we trade Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We can't do that now, but we'll supplement that with a lot of live streams, okay? So make sure you stay tuned for that. Now, with all that said about the news, let me see. That's done. That one, 25 cut, yes. PPI, not too bothered. Unemployment claims, I'm not too bothered. That's going to could stay, most likely going to stay the same or relatively the same, similar, with no big push. I think it all come down tonight to the euro dollar, and then the euro dollar because of the interest rate decision and the press conference, which could impact the dollar index, and then a little bit less onto the other major currency pairs. Okay? Now, with all that said, let's look at the currency pairs. First off, the dollar index. Okay. While we're doing this, can you give me one? Just let me do something. I'm gonna try. I saw that. Okay, wait. Okay, I saw that. Okay, never mind. I can't figure out how to do it now. Oh, okay. There we go. Let's see. Just want to try something. There you go. I've just triggered 5 gift memberships. This is not the Elite Navigator. This is the Market Explorer. So it's not me. YouTube has just clicked on that and has just randomly selected 5 members to get the 5 of you to get that membership. Something new I'm trying out. Just something new I'm trying out. So lucky you guys, lucky Ronaldo, Richard, Tom, Anthony, and Darlington. You've been gifted a membership of the Market Explorer. Something I just tried out. Okay, good. I hope you enjoy that. And hey, if you find it interesting, you can go get onto the Elite Navigator as well. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I was distracted with that. That's something I just wanted to try. Now, with that, I don't know the terms and all that. I'm super new to this membership thing. So, just try it out and let me know what you think. Okay, now, dollar index. What we saw last night is set there on release of the news, pushed to the upside, tested that area of the resistance. Have been expecting it to push back down on that 102 level. Okay. Now it is approaching that 102, or it's slowly climbing up towards 102. And that's also why I'm starting to think, hey, maybe could we see a little bit more of a move back down? But let's take that away first. Okay. I'm thinking now that if the ECB cuts rates. The whole focus today will be about the ECB cutting rates and what's going to happen, right? If the ECB cut rates, then we're likely to see, or we should be seeing, based on fundamental analysis, we should be seeing the euro dollar come down because a rate cut, lower interest rates, less demand. We should see the euro dollar weaken back down. They cut rates in June, they had a break in July. Now they're doing this. So if the euro dollar comes down, we should see the dollar index push up. The big question here is what's going to happen at this 102 level and all the way up to 102.20. Okay, so I did this last night, but I'm going to change that back again. Now, right, that area. Okay, now if that happens, let's see where can it get up to. 61 is right there, so that's going to be interesting. Right, and 50 is right up there. 61 should be right up there. I like that one more. Okay, so that's what we're looking at on the dollar index. I know it's a little bit tiny right now, but just to show you the whole picture of what's happening, that's what we're looking at. So today being the 12th of September, we're looking at the dollar index climbing towards 102. Climbing towards 102 resistance. Then needs to break, well, this is, okay, hang on. This is ECB rates ending, right? Climbing, not limping, climbing towards 102 resistance. If euro weakens, then we could see the dollar push higher. Could push higher if euro weakens. Needs to break 102.20 for further upside. I am a little bit hesitant to think that it could push all the way up to that 103 resistance level. Although we have 61.8 there, I feel like it's a little bit, that's a big move. I feel that that's a big move to push up to, right? So yeah, that's the point I was looking at as well. For further upside to 102.70, which is that 50% retracement level there. Right, so now we're looking at the dollar index. I don't need that trend line that much. Let's put it there. It's pushing up. What we're looking for it to do is that it climbs up. Firstly, it needs to get up to this point, and if it breaks that level, then we could see this push up towards 102.70. All right, that's what we're looking at. That one we saw already. That's done. I just want to. I'm super uncertain about this area here. It could very well. I mean, we've been talking about this. It could very well go back down again. But if it pushes right back down, that's going to be because of the euro strengthening, the pricing scenario strengthening back up, which I don't actually see that happening this time round. Okay, so I think that we're still more likely to see that slowly push up right now, for now, and then after that break, and then to the upside. That would actually be quite nice if it climbs up now. So it's a priced in scenario, it retraces, and then maybe with a 25 basis point rate cut, we could see it come back down again. We'll look out for that when the time comes, but for now, this is what I'll be looking out for on the dollar index. Okay? Any questions on this so far? If not, then let's look at the Kiwi dollar. All right, so we looked at that. It didn't break up last night. The dollar did not have that big drop. Now take all that away. Push down. Okay, look at that point. From the top to the bottom here. That was last night. It retraced. Well, it pushed down, but it didn't push down enough. Right, and then it retraced back up. Now pushing back down again. At this point, take that away. We do know that we're looking at that support level, which is around, so 61.8 was there where it bounced. Okay, I want to check this points here. I want that level. I don't need 50. And I have 61.8 down there. And my support level down here, which makes sense. Could even go down to middle of that point. So now looking at this, I would say that you could go in a little bit early. You know, this is a little bit of a riskier move, right? Where you're looking at it break down, fail to break higher, break down, cross over to the downside. What you'll be looking for is 16135. You have a tight stop loss of 20 pips. You take profit of 30, or you can try for 60 with a hesitation at 6110. About there. Right, so we're looking for it to break that really short-term trend line to the downside, cross over, push down. 6135, 20 to 60 to the downside. We haven't had any, well, I haven't had any trades on the Aussie and the Kiwi so far. Been focused on the other pairs. 6135, stop loss 20, take profit 60 with a hesitation at 0.61. 0.10. That's if the dollar, as we see it now, does push to the upside, right? It's a little bit at that deciding point right now, so we're going to see what happens in this area. Again, onto the Aussie dollar. That was from last night, so you shouldn't have entered this trade. It only popped up today or last couple of hours. Now it's at that 23.6 level. 38.2 is a bit higher up. That move, we count down to here. So that's almost 38.2. 23 is done. Take that away. Don't need that either. Don't need that. That one's done. Okay, so now I'm looking at this point here. Very similar to the Kiwi, but you're seeing the Kiwi push down, and yet the Aussie dollar is showing a little bit of a retrace. What I'm thinking is that it could have a little bit of a bound before coming back down again. Right? A little bit of a rebound before coming back down. Let me see. Don't think. Okay, there we have it. That's 38.2 at this point here. And see, 50 is down to that support. Okay, so now again, you're looking at test and reject, sell down 6685, a test and reject, sell down at 6685, 20 to 60 to the downside. That's just to yesterday's low. That's just to yesterday's low, where you actually do have further downside potential as well towards the support, right? I'm thinking whether it could push up. I don't think so. We have that holding. So I want to see it test and reject before it comes back down. Okay, I'm happy with that. 6685, 20 to 60 to the downside. Sell at 0.6685, stop loss 20, take profit 60 to the downside. I remember that I have to do, just a reminder to myself, I have to do Aussie CAD as well. Okay. Then I'll see the dollar pulling back a little bit, but we have Kiwi, Aussie Kiwi now pushing back up, right? So we were right here. We were right here yesterday. Where? Here. We were right here yesterday. We were a bit undecided on where it could head towards. It pushed up, right, as the Aussie and as the Kiwi dropped and the Aussie dropped. We saw it push to the upside, and now it's testing higher again. Likely to be driven by that push down and that pushing up. So it works well as it pushes higher. What you could be looking for here on the Aussie Kiwi again, that 38.2 level, we saw that work out nicely here. So maybe what we could be seeing at this point is a test and reject back down, because we're thinking the Kiwi could drop, the Aussie maybe could drop a little bit back. So looking at that, 1.0885, stop loss 20, take profit 70 to the downside. Rejection down halfway, rebound, continuation down to 1.08. So I like that, but I haven't been doing very well on the Aussie Kiwi in terms of analysis. So I want to see that test and reject maybe a little bit more. 1.0880, 25 to 65. I like that one a bit better. I'm not going to write that down. Test and reject 1.08. Yeah, so you see the last time it came down to that point and rebounded. So that could still happen. But it looks like once it breaks that level, we could see that downside happen. All right. Then on to the pound dollar. All right. I think this was something we talked about or we did from last night as it pushed down. Right after our session last night at 9, I went for a walk, so I didn't catch that. I caught the euro, I think, to the downside. So that came down when outside of the Bollinger Band, had a relatively good move. That was a good 30 pip move to the downside, rebounded back up again. Now, again, the pound dollar is sitting right at this support level. Right, sitting right at this support level, 38.2 from the big move up. Pull that down to this point. You see that 23.6 from that top to here is at that level there. So anticipating that dollar strength, you'll be thinking that a big push, rebound, consolidation along this support turn, resistance turn, support level again. You want to see it break, you'd say about 1.3030. Stop loss would be 25. Take profit will be down to 60 pips down towards this point first. Right? If it goes past that, then you got further downside potential, especially if the dollar keeps strengthening. So there's 1.3030, 25 to 60. Okay, wait. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay. 1.3030. 1.3030, 25 to 60. Stop loss 25, take profit 60 to the downside. Relative, look at the dollar, still sitting right there. So that's sitting, it could do a little bit of a test and reject back down. Looking at the dollar strength, okay, we're looking at the dollar strength in this across the Kiwi, the Aussie, and the pound dollar for now. Then we come to the big exciting one, the euro dollar. Okay, the euro dollar. This was last night. We saw it push down, test at support. Very keen on selling it down. It didn't happen. Take that away for now. This point here, we have this move down to this level here. I don't even need that actually. Take that away. Now, zoom it out first just to show you. Euro dollar, big move to the upside, support level at 1.10, 50% retracement level. It all forms a confluence here along the support. And that's why at first I was just thinking that, if it breaks, it's gonna have that big downside potential. The analysis, I've done that in the trade of the week for the elite members, elite navigator members. I'm going to think that it's going to push lower, but it could be a pricing scenario and push back up. What you could be looking at here is a bit of that area, right? You'll be looking at that area there. 50 area, yes, okay. So if the euro dollar just stays in this point, moving right across, pushing up a little bit, pushing back down, and it's 3:30 now, so we've got 4:30, 5:30, 6, 7. In the next 5 hours, it doesn't do too much, sits around here. Then what I would actually be looking to get in before the news, but what I would be looking at would be below 1.0990. Let me think. 1.0985. I want it a little bit further away. My stop loss will be about 20 pips. All right, and then my take profit. I don't see 100 pips. I don't see 100 pips down at this point. We got 61, which is right there. A 45 pip move to the downside. All right, and then if it doesn't break that support and it pushes right back up, then you could be thinking of 1.1030. Take profit, you have that 50 pips stop loss. You would just go below that point, so about 20 at the most, and then you'll be looking at that. Right, so where the news is at 8, which is here, right? So if we're looking at this, it just needs to stay within that area, right? If it stays within that area, which it could totally rebound right now and push back up. But if it stays within this area, I would be looking for that kind of straddle on the euro. But between these two, I still would prefer to be looking for that downside push, right? The downside push on the euro. I think that maybe got further downside, but could be first looking at a 45 pip move, and then maybe down to 1.09, depending on what's said during the ECB release and the press conference. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So euro dollar rates decision pending, straddle opportunity, but I'm looking to sell at 1.0985, 20 to 45 to the downside first. Where am I? 1.1985, stop loss 20, take profit 45 to the downside. Because if the euro has that big drop, then we're going to see that dollar push back up. If it doesn't, then we might just see it test this area and come right back down again. But I think that might be a little bit less likely. I'll still be looking for that downward push. Okay? What do you think? Put it into the chat. What do you think on this? What do you think about this? Are you more tempted to think that the euro dollar could push up? Or are you more tempted to think that the euro dollar could break that support and head lower to the downside, on with the event that the ECB cuts rates by that 25 basis points? Put it into the chat and let me know. Let me see what you think. Let me see what you think. Hey, and also, hey, Augusto, how you doing? Right. So while you're doing that, put it into the chat. Let me know. What do you think? More upside or some upside or more downside potential? And also, in the meantime, remember, click the like and subscribe. Diana says, opinion downside more likely. Yeah, I think so. I think so. But it's just in that, because it's just in that area, it really could be doing anything at this point. But might have, okay. And also remember, please do not All right, this is, I'm going to move this across because you don't want to be thinking to get into that earlier now, because it could trigger and then you'll be stuck with a position. So you want to wait till the last possible, not the last possible moment, but just before the news, before you put that straddle in. I would actually be more tempted to personally get into a sell position wherever it is, put a tight stop, and let it put a big take profit and let it run. Okay, then on to the euro pound. Oops. Diana's favorite pair. I'm just having some fun. Diana's favorite pair, the euro pound, is sat there. The news came out last night, it shot down, and then it shot right up, and it still couldn't sustain the move because you see it went up outside the Bollinger and came right back in again, and it's sitting right across. Right, it's sitting right across now. The thing about this is the anticipating that downside on the euro should show the euro pound to the downside, but yet the euro pound has been resisting that move to the downside. Pound dollar, if it does break lower, it's going to push the euro pound up. So it's a bit counterintuitive, or is either to think of it as a bit counterintuitive, or you'll be thinking of it as a possible hedge, right? As a possible hedge, because hey, if the euro doesn't drop and you might not be comfortable buying it up, then maybe you could be looking at the euro pound to the upside. All right, euro pound to the upside. I'll be happy with keeping this resistance. Now looking at this, still okay, 18460 stop loss tight, 15 take profit up, 40 to the upside towards that resistance, which could coincide with that 50% area. Nah, not really, but could have that move. Right, so this could be a bit of a hedge. This could be a bit of a hedge. You know, if you don't want to buy the euro up, you could be looking to buy the euro pound up. But like I was saying, I can't remember whether I said this during the afternoon stream or whether I said this during the night stream. With such big news, I just don't like this cross pairs, because you know, if the euro doesn't drop and it pushes up, then the pound dollar is not going to drop and it's more likely to push up. Then again, it's going to conflict with the euro pound. So it doesn't seem that good. It's going to bounce around unless the euro has a big push to the upside. Okay, so just be extra careful with that. Sometimes on the euro pound, it might actually be better to look at it on the H4 time frame as well. Right? I had more success on the euro pound on the H4 than on the H1, just because I don't like those tails. So on the H4, I'll just set a level and then just let it run for the longer term trend. Then, with that said, we look at the yen. Okay, yen is done exactly as we've been talking about, 141, 142 area last night or yesterday. It came all the way down to this point, pushed back up, right? Pushed back up, and then last night with the news, it shot right out. It shot right up. I think Jimmy was buying it up. As I think you were sharing that he bought it up last night. I was like, I'm not too sure about buying it up. I still want to sell the yen down. We were looking for it to either react to that 61.8 level, or for it to react up at this high here. And then what happened? Right after I'm not looking at it, it reacted to 61.8 and pushed back down. I had a quick trade on that, a quick scalp on that to the downside. I had a bit of a quick move, right? And then it came right back down. The next moment came down to again that 141 level and pushed right back up again. Right, push right back up, breaking above 61.8 this morning. So we take all that away. Take all that away. Now, look at the dollar. Look at the yen. Came down 142. Oh, 142 here. Pushed up. Came back down again. 147. I don't think it'll get up there. Push down. Now this move down, we have the 50% right there. Right, we have that 50% right there, and actually you can consider this whole area. So what I'm actually thinking here on the yen is that it does push up. Dollar strength anticipated. The dollar yen should go up. What I want to see is for it to push to the upside, test 50, and then maybe turn back down like it has been doing on the 5th, 6th, 9th, and 10th. Right? Rejecting that 144 price level to push back down again. So I wouldn't buy it up again. I still wouldn't buy it up. I'll be looking for that rejection, 143.50. Stop loss would be about 50 pips at 144 because it rejected and we know that's a good resistance level. Take profit, 150 back down to that 142 level. All right, so I'm looking for that test and reject back down on the US yen. 143.50. Okay. 143.50, stop loss 50, take profit 150 to the downside towards that 142 level. Okay, so what you see here is that we're looking at the dollar strength, scenario strength. That one, all that leading because of the euro dollar. There is that straddle opportunity. Then the US yen, we're looking at that strength before it starts pushing back down again. With that all said, looking at the euro yen, right? Tested, came close again to the support and pushed back up. This was something that we looked at, I think from last night as well, as it tested and bounced. Didn't get into this one. Right, didn't get into this one to the upside, but it's working well. Push up now at 157 just under 157.50. Now with this, as we anticipate for the yen to possibly push up further, what you see is that it broke that 23.6, or it's at 23.6. Hey Lingopedia, how are you doing? Doing that move. I don't need that one there. Okay. So same thing. I actually think that there might be quite a big move possible on the euro yen. Right? I think there might be quite a big move possible on the euro yen. You see the dollar yen looking like trying to push back up. So the euro yen could push back up. Past this point up to. So what I'm looking for here is a test. No, something wrong. 150. No, I'm looking for it to do that. It's this area here. 50% is right there. I don't see it getting up to that point unless the euro dollar has a big move. But I think that we could see it sit. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So the level top, I would say, is at that point there. But what could happen on the euro yen is that it sits in this area, right? It sits in this area and turns down. But I think more likely we're going to see it push up, test, and then I'll be looking for that downward push. And just because it's nice at that 158 level, so you want to see it test and break that point. You say 157.80. Stop loss, you'll be about 50 pips. The take profit, has that big 200 to the downside. I'm not entirely sure it would do that big move, but you can't rule that out. You can't rule that out on the test and reject. Okay, rather 200 pip might not be immediate, might not be within that move tonight, but there is that opportunity for over a couple of days like that as a test and reject to push down. Okay, then onto the pound yen. I was going to say that so that one pushed down last night and then came back up, but it's that area, and also you see that it was just outside of the Bollinger. As it pushed back up, its pound didn't form. I was going to say that we had this move, right? Again, a very ugly head and shoulder with that neckline up there. So again, we're looking at pound dollar sitting right across with that downside potential. Euro dollar still sitting right across. US yen looking like it might push up as the dollar finds a bit of a as the dollar in 6 minutes might close a bit undecided with a bit of a candle pattern there. So onto the pound yen, what I'm actually thinking is that I would like to see the yen push it up towards the resistance, and then we're going to see that push back down. All right. But it needs to break past this point first. It needs to break past this point first. So let me see. 61 is there. That move makes sense. 61 is there. That's pushing back up. Okay. So what I'm looking at here is it consolidates. There's two things I'm thinking of here. I think I did this last night as well. Two things I'm thinking of here is that it sits in this consolidation, and then the pound starts dragging it lower, 185 below 185.80. We have just above that point a 40 pip to even a 100 pip, 80 pip move. I don't see it breaking so quickly. About that kind of move, 150 to the downside, right? That's if it sits and then it starts breaking down. But what I would prefer, and I might just miss the move if this happens, is that I'll look for it to push up, test, and reject. There's a higher chance that it doesn't trigger this, but that's what I would be looking out for. 187.60, about there. 50 to a 100 to the downside first, or 120 to the downside. Then after that, you have that bigger move down. Right. So I'm quite happy to look and wait for it as it consolidates in this point. Look for it to break out, push up, test the resistance, and then break to the downside. Okay? Then on to the US Swiss franc. Didn't trigger that, take that away. It's right up to that resistance level. It's right up to that resistance level right now. Don't need that. Take that away. Okay, so right at this point, I'm actually starting to think maybe, all right, and if you look at that point, take that away. If you look at that point here, 50%. If, all right, we keep talking about the dollar sitting there, possibly pushing out. If you see a massive move on the dollar to the upside, then you could be looking at the US Swiss franc breaking this level and heading higher. You could be looking at 8.5 or 8.6, 0.86. Stop loss will be about 50. I'll try for that 150 to the upside. No, too high. No. I've never seen or very seldom see the US Swiss franc move that much. We're looking at that, and then you'll be looking at that 8585. Stop loss, you'll be looking at 40. Okay, so what I'm looking for here on the US Swiss franc is it pushes up, tests that 50%, tests that resistance, comes back down, and then pushes back up again, tests that area, comes back down, and then have that move up. That's what I'm looking for on the US Swiss franc, especially if we see that big move or a big move on the dollar index. Now, that said, 8585, 40 to 80 to the upside. Where am I? Okay. Buy 0.8585, stop loss 40, take profit 80 to the upside. Then onto the US CAD, test, reject. I will still keep that same view. So this is if we don't see that dollar. No, actually, we can push that up a little bit. 1.3580, stop loss will be tight at 30, take profit will be still down to 70. What we're looking for here is a test and reject back down. Maybe some dollar weakness instead. Alternate scenario view. So that's what we'll look out for. 1.3580, 30 to 70. Okay, so CAD sell 1.3580, stop loss 30, take profit 70 to the downside. It's quite similar to yesterday's. Now with that, then US gold, right? So gold pushed down. This was the trade. This was the one that I was looking at. I did last night, right? We were looking at that move, 23.6. Yesterday I was saying that retest of 23.50, rejection below 25.17, could trade down to 24.85. So I had 25.17 there, 25.17 there. We saw that. So this was right after our session. It came back down, and then it's bounced around. Before the news, it was coming down, it was testing. I got into a small trade on that, a tiny one. Got in 25.17.20. And then I had my take profit down. Well, I had my stop loss up in the previous high. It shot down, it bounced back up a little bit, and then right at that point I went, nah, I'll just close it out on gold. So it shot down, closed out at that point. So that was my trade from last night on gold. Very naughty before the news kind of trade, but that's done. Take that away. Okay, now no worries, no Chuku. I'm still confused. It is making a bullish pattern on higher time frame, but also know that September candles are bearish if we see the last 20. Yeah, um it's I don't know. I don't know how to put it. It's historical data are historical data. Interest rate decisions between the last 20 years and now very different as well. Um, the price range where gold is trading between then and now very different as well. So it can be a guiding factor, right? The previous price movements and patterns can be a guiding factor, but things can change. Things can change and be a bit illogical as well. Okay, so don't look to sell just because um, it's always been down for the last 20 years. Similar, like, there was 1 year I tested where they were talking about sell in May, go away. So I thought, yeah, right, let's look to sell in May. Didn't work. It didn't work. So those are um, yeah, just a bit of a guiding, a bit of a pattern, but doesn't always have to hold true. Okay, gold pushed up, tested 61.8 at 2500, pushed back up, sitting in there. If the dollar has that push up, seems to be losing a bit of strength, but if it does have that slight push to the upside, we'll see it push up, down, down, test, bounce. I want to see it come down, but it's right in the middle there. Um, we're looking at this. So it came down, tested 61.8. Well, then again, Linkopedia, remember that we're only 12 days into September, so there's a lot of time more for gold to be bearish, if that's what we're looking for. There's still a lot of time for price to completely reverse. All right, but I wouldn't be selling just because I think that it should be going down. Okay, if gold stays below 25.20, it should or it could trade down to the low of 25, the lowest point at 2500. It's stuck in this range. We have not had a meaningful retracement down. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have a right. If we zoom right out, right, I don't think we're gonna have a meaningful. I don't see a reason why it's gonna retrace all the way back down. I think it's gonna be stuck in this range until something happens. For example, a recession. You're gonna see that pop right up. A conflict. We're gonna see that pop back up. I can't see what would cause it to come right back down. The best we can see, because it stays in that range, is that 2470 level, which it was testing a few times already. Okay, I'm just looking at this and I just want to see that test this point again. Okay, so on gold, I would say that it needs to to stay below 2520 for downside to 2500, but I would prefer, I actually bias or prefer, would like to see, okay, never mind. I'm not gonna put what I feel like. It needs to stay below 2520 for downside to 2500, which is that point there to the downside. Seems like it's pushing up. So it's either going to sit there and then turn down to that point, or test and then push back down that way. Okay. Rising wedge pattern on the daily time frame on gold. Yes. Yeah, I do think there's that upside. I don't see a reason why it has that big push down. I actually see more upside, so I'd rather be looking for that that buying opportunity up. But for now, I think it's stuck within this range. Okay. Then on to the Aussie CAD. Was it Aussie CAD? Yeah, Aussie CAD that Dinah was asking about. Hey Jamil, how you doing? I love it when Jamil comes on and goes, I close my trade. I close my trade. Um, Good. I love it. I love it when you guys close trades and a profit. Okay, let's take all that away. 9065. Go long at. Huh? Wait. Okay, Aussie. I'll come back to the Aussie Kiwi shortly. Aussie CAD 9065 breaking down. Oh, we just saw that push down, heading lower. Yes, I agree. You are saying that you say that early start breaking that resistance. So now if we look at this on the Aussie CAD, the Aussie dollar pushing back up, this last hour has been a bit odd. This last hour has been a bit odd. Kiwi looking like it's trying to push down. Aussie Kiwi go long from 1.0854. No, I think that's a bit far off. I still would look for that. Kiwi sitting there, Aussie pushing back up. I think on the Aussie CAD, it's going to retrace and turn back down. We're looking at the CAD sitting there. I'm a bit undecided just because of what just happened. Well, literally just happened. So I apologize, Diana. I should have looked at it right at the start because it could have had that move to the downside. This right at the start of the hour to now to then was a good 30 pip move down. Now I would say that look for it to retrace, clear all that. I think straightforwardly is come retrace that level down here. A there we go. There like that. Right? So what I would be looking for in this case, it's not I don't feel like it's a huge move, is that it test and reject and push back down again that way in that area. Then if you look at it on the with the Bollinger on, that would make a bit of sense. Not something I would get into. I'm just not big on the many cross pairs. 9055, 15 to 30 to the downside on the Aussie CAD. Yeah, I think that's what I'll be looking out for. Naren just said oil is up and up, so I'm bullish on the CAD. I think that's fair. Yeah. No, I think, yeah, I still look for that on the Aussie CAD. I just realized that we've gone way past the 1 hour, but just a quick review now. Gold still sitting there, US CAD still sitting across. I'm just looking for that news to push it up. That's US Swiss franc is sitting right across. I don't know what's happening here. No worries, Diana. Euro yen right there, US yen right there as well. It's just moving a little bit. Euro dollars, I like it, still in that range. Please stay in that range. Pound dollar in that range. That test and reject would be good. Aussie dollar might not be a trade that I'll be looking at for today at all. This is in the middle. Possibly more on, most possibly a early trade to get into on the Kiwi dollar. A bit of a higher risk, but an early trade, little changed. Okay, so again, please remember that if you are not already on as a member on the channel, I know that you can see it right there on the stream, the join button. Click join, be an elite navigator. Um, we have the live stream tonight starting at 8, and then we'll look at the ECB interest rate decision. And then remember again, no live stream tomorrow. I'm just gonna be recording some educational content for you guys. All right. So please trade well, trade safe. I'll see you members later tonight. Take care now.